This week, the inside word on the X-Files movie from co-star Gillian Anderson.
I had you.
Oh, you didn't?
Oh, yeah. I had you big time.
And X-Files creator Chris Carter answers questions that our viewers emailed.
And meet the man behind the popular Sightings series. It's none other than Henry Winkler. You've discovered a new galaxy of sci-fi entertainment. Hi, I'm Chase Masterson.
And I'm Scott Mance. And between us, we're the biggest sci-fi fans around. So let's start with the latest buzz off the Sci-Fi Wire.
Superman Reborn, the highly anticipated new Man of Steel movie starring Nicolas Cage, has been officially put on hold. Filming was to begin next month, but nobody, and that includes director Tim Burton and Warner Brothers, is happy with the script. The studio hopes to have a new screenplay in a few months and to start shooting later this year.
Is there a problem, ma'am?
Yeah, there's a problem.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans were shocked last month when their spunky heroine was forced to slay her vampire ex-boyfriend, Angel, in the season finale. But don't worry, Angel fans. David Boreanaz, who played the good vampire turned bad, has been re-signed for another season. Buffy's producers won't say how they plan to revive the completely disintegrated character, but it seems Boreanaz is so popular with female viewers, there's even talk of giving Angel his own series.
I am not a number. I am a free man.
The Prisoner, Patrick McGoohan's 60s sci-fi series that developed a cult following over the decades, is working its way to the big screen. Simon West, the British director who made Con Air, is in final negotiations to call the shots. The Prisoner is the story of an imprisoned spy fighting to maintain his identity. No word yet on when the filming might begin. For your daily dose of sci-fi news, check out the online Sci-Fi Wire at the Sci-Fi Channel website. You'll find it at www.scifi.com.
Well, if you're like us, you're probably bummed when all your favorite sci-fi series start rerunning in the summer. But this summer, we have a whole new sci-fi series to look forward to. It's from Steven Spielberg and Harve Bennett. The show's called Invasion America, and it's primetime television's first animated dramatic sci-fi series, at least in the United States. This kind of ultra-stylized animation has been big on Japanese television for years, and anime fans will definitely see the Asian influence. Invasion America is about a teenager named David Carter who discovers he's half human and half alien. There are plenty of spaceships, tons of action, and lots of cool special effects. Steven Spielberg came up with the idea for the show, then hired Harve Bennett to oversee the project. For those of you not quite sure where you've heard of Bennett, maybe this will remind you. He produced $6 Million Man, Time Tracks, and 4 of the Star Trek movies. He definitely knows his sci-fi. He even brought in Leonard Nimoy to voice one of the villains.
Seal off the core. Release the Mangler.
But, sir, our men are in there.
Do it.
Invasion America can be seen on the WB network Tuesday nights right after Buffy.
Coming up, X-Files creator Chris Carter answers questions from sci-fi entertainment viewers. And Gillian Anderson tips us to what's in the X-Files movie. On the X-Files, why was Agent Scully originally teamed up with Mulder? Find out the truth after this. Agent Scully's original assignment was to shut down the X-Files, but she soon came to Mulder's defense when she discovered scientific proof of paranormal activity. Now, Chris Carter is one huge fan of sci-fi. He's also one of the rare producers who doesn't shy away from the press. So when we asked him if he'd answer questions from sci-fi entertainment viewers, he said no problem. Our email box was full with questions for Chris about both the new X-Files film and the TV series. But the number one question that seems to still be on everyone's mind is, will Mulder and Scully become romantically involved with each other?
I'm often asked that question, and my answer is always no. But as anyone who watches the X-Files knows, anything can happen.
Whatever you told them in there, Scully, you don't have to protect me.
All I told him was the truth.
They're trying to divide us on this, and we can't let them.
Patricia Klein of Philadelphia wondered, would the show end if David or Gillian decided to leave?
I don't know if the show could continue without them. I've never had to think about it because right now they're working very hard to, with me to make the show as good as it can be. So when it comes to that, I'll have to cross that bridge then.
Carter already has his hands full these days as producer of the X-Files film, the TV series, and Millennium. But Matt Schaffer of Thousand Oaks, California, wondered about the chances of an X-Files spin-off series.
I don't foresee an X-Files spin-off series in the near future. I have plenty of ideas that I want to do before I ever get to do anything like that. I have other ideas that could be considered science fiction, like the X-Files, which is really speculative science. Yeah, plenty of ideas. One in particular that I hope to do a pilot in the spring.
The virus has mutated.
Into what? A new extraterrestrial biological entity. My God.
While most X-Files fans eagerly await the film's debut next weekend, Mike Krusel of St. Paul, Minnesota, is already thinking about season 6 of the TV show.
Next season, the mythology certainly will come out of the movie this summer, but beyond that, we're just going to do as many good, scary stories as we possibly can. I know the X-Files will go another couple of years for sure. I've just signed on for that, and I think the actors are on board for that as well. If there's another movie, it will be because this movie is successful, and we are all, very anxious for June 19th.
Thanks to everyone who emailed us their Chris Carter questions. Sorry we didn't have time for all of them, but Chris promises a lot more of your questions about the X-Files will be answered when the film opens next week.
Now, Chris Carter may be the man in the know at the X-Files, and Dave Duchovny may be the hunk star of the show, but my X-Files favorite is that female Fed played by Gillian Anderson.
Mulder. Mulder.
Boom.
Jesus, Mulder.
As FBI agent Dana Scully, Gillian Anderson uncovers some amazing secrets on the TV series. Now, as one of the few people that knows the plot of the new X-Files film, the actress has her own classified information.
Most of my friends know not to ask me about it. And most of them, I think, are interested in not having the film spoiled for them. So I haven't had many of those conversations. You're saying that this is a cover-up? Of what?
I don't know, but I have a hunch that what you're going to find here won't be easily categorized or referenced.
Anderson is one of television's top stars and was offered numerous film roles last summer. But out of loyalty to the show's creators, she signed on for the big screen version of The X-Files.
I owed it to the studio and owed it to Chris to be up to the task and participate. I think, there were many other things that came into play at the time in terms of doing it if both David and I were treated equally, as if we were both participating in the same degree in the film, if I was going to be on board. And once all that was cleared up, we just kind of moved forward from there.
You gotta quit looking for what isn't there. They've closed the X-Files. There's procedure to be followed now, protocol.
Maybe we should call in a bomb threat to Houston. I think it's free beer night at the Astrodome.
This summer, the X-Files TV series begins shooting in Los Angeles after 5 years in Vancouver. The move will give Gillian the opportunity to explore additional acting roles, as well as adding stability to her life.
I think we're hoping that it'll make the long hours seem more comfortable to know that we're going home to our own bed at the end of the night. And not that we have, I feel that I've certainly made Vancouver a secondary home for myself. But there's something about being in a city that really feels like it is home when you're working the way that we work.
Ground's dry, about an inch down. This was laid recently.
The equipment looks brand new, too.
No irrigation system. Somebody's covering their tracks.
A strong work ethic is something Gillian has developed while shooting The X-Files. This might come as a shock to her high school and college teachers.
I wasn't a very good student, and I goofed around a lot when I was in high school, especially. I was a better student in college than in high school, but I pulled a lot of pranks, and I talked a lot, and I didn't pay much attention.
Gillian told me she wasn't particularly popular with her male classmates. Today, though, her picture is on the cover of hundreds of magazines, and she's considered by many to be a sex symbol.
That's what a lot of good press can do. I'm not sure how much it actually has to do with me.
Anderson may downplay her sex symbol status, but ask any male X-Files fan and they'll tell you the truth is Gillian is one sexy star. Next, Henry Winkler describes his favorite sci-fi sightings. What is the best-selling science fiction anthology of all time? Find out next. Harlan Ellison's Dangerous Visions is the best-selling science fiction anthology of all time. Learn more about this remarkable man in Masters of Fantasy, Harlan Ellison. Check your local listings for times. This weekend on the Sci-Fi Channel, there is an incredible 2-hour special in the Sightings series. The show is called Bioperfection, Building a New Human Race. It explores whether our species is prepared to face the moral and ethical consequences brought about by explosive advances in technology. The program raises many disturbing questions like, when mankind has created computers smarter than us, will we remain the Earth's dominant species? When we have unleashed armies of artificially intelligent robots to fight our wars, will they turn on their creators?
We should always have the plug and be ready to pull it once we have machines that have a will of their own, that are stronger than us, that are perhaps smarter than us, and have desires other than our own.
When computers can be hooked up to the brain, will each of us have access to global knowledge? Or will we face mind control and loss of privacy in our thoughts? The executive producer of this mesmerizing and sobering special is Henry Winkler. Yes, that Henry Winkler. And he's dropped by to talk to us. Tell us a little bit about the revolutionary advances that are going on in terms of bioperfection and the consequences.
If I had to pick one theme for the show, it is that we as human beings are merging our technology and our biology, and they are coming closer and closer together. They are now growing brain cells on microchips, so that the future that we were raised for is no longer the future that is real.
Speaking of brain power, putting a silicon chip in the brain,
yes,
that was fascinating.
What about taking that brain chip and then when you physically die to download your last thoughts and images, stuff that we see in B movies is actually going to be real, so that you have, let us say, a great mind will give us a great solution even after death.
Some of my own thoughts that I had while watching the show, one of them basically that really stirred me, it was that cute little computer that learned how to crawl on its own.
Yeah.
It took 20 minutes for that computer to do what it takes a human being 18 months.
Right.
So from there, while that may seem harmless, that could get to a point where by the time we figure out to pull the plug on a computer that may have thought on its own.
Yeah, well, there will be no plug to pull.
It'll be too late.
Do you believe that we'll get to that point?
I honestly do, because the fact is that all of the way that we live our lives, we always say, oh, you can't do that. Oh, that will never happen. And then, yes, if we imagine it, it can be a reality.
So as a parent, does this instill more hope or more fear for you in the world that your children will live in?
Sometimes it's too scary to think about.
It's
and
scary.
Sometimes it is so fascinating that I wish that I could be like Frozen, like Walt Disney, and come back and see what will be in 100 years.
Stephen Hawking had some other great points, like, he'd rather keep his thoughts to himself. And isn't that valid? A kind of simplicity, just a kind of a back to nature humanness. Will we get to keep that? Will we have a choice?
I think not being able to keep to ourselves, not being able to have private thoughts is maddening. I think it will drive the human being off the precipice. Will the human being adapt to being completely open, being an open book, as we call it now? Possibly that will be so much a part of the way it is. It's hard for me to let go of the concept that no matter where we go, that the spirit, the will, the soul will not bubble to the surface and override Big Brother.
To keep in mind that the most important things are not the things they can implant in us, but the things that we have as humans that machines can never have. Compassion and
right.
hope and
right.
understanding.
That's an excellent point, because one of the things about decoding all of the defects that a person is born with, or that we, in the show, we talk about raising thug mice, you know, mice
yes.
that are just violent, and trying to figure out how to remove that from the human being, so that we might be able to work on the gene, reinvent the gene, so that children don't shoot each other. It sounds on the surface possibly not a bad idea.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
Right, it sounds like a good idea, getting rid of illness, getting rid of the violent nature that we must live together as a team.
But is there a cost? As in Nazi Germany, you know, they had these same kind of, this is how you must be.
Right, what happens when it goes awry?
What happens if that power gets in the wrong hands?
Okay.
Because had that technology existed in the 30s and 40s, we might not be here.
Right. What happens if the wrong hands are in a very good person who just makes a decision that might not ultimately end up like with a good result?
Henry, thank you so much for being here and for this fascinating piece of work.
I loved being here.
Thanks a lot.
It's been great. You've got to watch the new Sighting specials, Bioperfection, Building the New Human Race, this weekend on the Sci-Fi Channel. Be sure to log on to the Dominion and check out these cyber events. Enter the Dominion at www.scifi.com.
220 countries tuned in for his first step. The world stood still for that stolen kiss.
I'm Matt Weinhold, stand-up comedian and sci-fi fan. When SciFiEnt7a asked me to review the new sci-fi fantasy film The Truman Show, starring comedian Jim Carrey, I jumped at the chance. Partly because I felt I had a particular affinity for the material, but mainly because the ticket was free. Did you ever have one of those days that made you feel like you were on a bad TV show? If you were ever on the Jerry Springer Show, you have. But if you're Truman Burbank, that's the way you spend your entire life. Of course, Truman is kept unaware of the fact that he's the star of a hit 24-hour live TV show. But that doesn't stop the advertisers. Product placements litter his life with the subtlety of a scene from Twister. His saccharine wife pitches cocoa, his frat boy best friend hawks beer, and I was a bit disturbed at the attention given to a magazine called Dog Fancy.
A lot of strange things have been happening. Stand by ring cam.
Now, at first you might find the plot of The Truman Show difficult to buy. A man who lives in a TV show and doesn't know it?
Why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented.
But like all good sci-fi fantasy films, The Truman Show draws you into its world. This is much to the credit of director Peter Weir's attention to detail and Andrew Niccol's intelligent and funny script.
Truman is the first child to have been legally adopted by a corporation?
That's correct.
Ed Harris adds a dash of dramatic credibility to the film as The Truman Show's creator, Christoph. Christoph answers the question, what if Aaron Spelling was God?
Cue the sun.
And then there's Jim Carrey. I think folks who might not normally be fans of Jim Carrey's rubber-face antics will appreciate his sensitive and surprisingly restrained performance.
Hi, honey.
And even his occasional over-exaggeration seems appropriate in this film because, after all, Truman was raised by TV actors. For months now, we've been bombarded by the message, size does matter. Yeah, apparently not brain size. And that's what's so refreshing about The Truman Show. It's actually about something. Truman lives in a television prison, but it's not all that different from the one his fervently addicted viewers have consciously chosen for themselves. Maybe William Shatner was right. It's only a TV show. Get a life.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
We'll be back next week with more sci-fi entertainment. Same time, same sci-fi channel.
And don't forget to watch the Sighting special this weekend on Bioperfection, also on the Sci-Fi Channel. Don't miss it.